Hi guys, my name is Srinithi Raj, co-editor-in-chief of WA Ghostwriter. On Friday, October 16th, I moderated a question and answer event for STUCO members running for the senior class, both officers and representatives. Let's see the questions that were asked and their responses. Before we get started, let's meet our candidates. First up, we have Raj Jayaraman running for senior class president. Next, we have Amelia Talluri running for the class vice president. Next, we have Caitlin Ditto running for secretary, and we have Carter Purple also running for senior class secretary. Finally, we have Veronica Shu running for class treasurer. These candidates were each, through random assignment, given a number which would dictate the order in which they would answer questions. Today, our order will be Caitlin, Viraj, Carter, Amelia, and Veronica. Thank you.
So I'm rerunning just because I've liked over the years, like I've been active on our class board and I just like being involved in running fundraisers and events and stuff. My part of my platform is definitely to try to get ideas for fundraisers and definitely try to make our senior year the best year. Even though we're facing a lot of challenges, especially with COVID and stuff. So trying to make events and ideas that would help everyone bond together and try to make it the most memorable senior year we can with what we're facing.
Thank you. All right. So the next person who gets to answer is Viraj.
Okay, so I'm rerunning for class president because I really enjoyed the work I did the past little over a year, and I think that my policies would be like I want to improve communication among the grades. So when I first joined, we only had about 200 followers on our Instagram, but like now, it's not directly me, but I'm just saying like communication was a big part of what I wanted to increase because I know before I joined class officers, I didn't know what was going on in the grade. And I've seen a dramatic increase. We've had a lot more activity within the student body of our class. And I just like that trend. I think that it leads to more people getting to experience the senior year they want to experience. And so that's probably the crux of what I'm running for.
Oh, thank you, Viraj. So the next person who gets to answer is Carter. And to repeat, the question is, why are you running or rerunning, and what are your policies and goals?
All right, so I'm running for the first time, um, and I'm running because in the past it's been something I wanted to do, but I've had other things like I served in a leadership position with my Boy Scout troop. I played football my freshman year. There were other things going on that I decided, I shouldn't run this year. But this year with all the uncertainty and, people are kind of complaining. They're like, we don't have a normal senior year. I didn't want to just sit back and be part of the group that was complaining. I wanted to kind of jump in and have something to do with it. Um, I think also the group of class officers we have now, I have a really good relationship with all of them, and just hearing from them some of the stuff they were doing, I thought, well, I feel like I could do great in that position too, and working with them starting this year.
Thank you. All right, and then next up we have Amelia. So the question is, why are you running and rerunning, and what are your policies and goals?
I'm rerunning for class vice president, and I've been in like student government and like involved in the student body since like elementary school, so it's just like something that I really enjoy doing, and it's gotten to a point where I feel like I've really connected with the other class officers. My goals for this year, like Caitlin said, and Viraj and everyone else said, like this year is like the year that we've all been looking forward to, and with all of like the uncertainty and like we have to postpone things and everything's changing, so my goal is to make it as good as it can be so everyone can still enjoy their senior year and get the most out of it.
Thank you. And then last but not least, we have Veronica. And then, oh, sorry, should I repeat the question for you?
I'm okay, thank you.
All right.
So I'm rerunning for treasurer, and I've loved being a class officer these last 3 years. I really like learn the ins and outs of like the executive board and like the format and what our goals for the year are, like planning class events and such. But I think this year is like really unique in that like obviously we can't focus much on class events. Like we missed out on Cotil and everything, and we won't be able to plan any class events for the fall, especially because administration said we're not allowed to. So I think we really need to focus on like class bonding and especially building like the trust between the student body and like the class officers, because like recently, especially with all the controversy with like senior shirts and all of that, like I feel like a lot of the students lost confidence in us, and like we really need to restore that and like show them what like we can do for them.
Definitely, one of like something that I feel like I'm been good at is definitely trying to get other people's ideas like spread to the rest of the officers and our class advisors. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and like let me know something that isn't working or ideas that they've had, and I've definitely shared them. Um, I think also that I'm pretty like hardworking and determined, and I've had some ideas. Definitely, I tried to bring to the table of like events that we can do. Like all the class officers have talked about doing Spirit Week, like not pep rally. We had tried to do a senior sunrise. I had thought of that that idea of stuff, and unfortunately, with COVID and stuff, trying our best to do things. But I think I'm pretty good. Well, I'm trying to be creative and coming up with ideas that we're able to do, and that administration will allow. And I think I'm definitely like my strong suits is definitely hearing other people's voices. And I feel like a lot of people have been comfortable reaching out to me.
Thank you. And next, Raj, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, so I think one of my traits that I'm most proud of is my drive. I feel that when I put my mind to something, I get it done, and I'm pretty proud of that ability of my own. I also think I'm a really good listener, and I think that when I hear the ideas that come from my classmates, my communication skills are what really show, and I think I do an effective job of translating exactly what I'm hearing from my classmates to administration and administration to my classmates. I think Veronica touched upon earlier the recent, you know, uh, issues that we've had about the class shirts, but I think that nobody can say that, the communication wasn't there. I don't think anybody really doesn't know what's going on, and I think that's a big thing, because before there might have been a lot of confusion and that would have bred frustration. But now that the communication's there, I feel that, the situation, people understand what's happening. So I'm definitely proud of my communication skills as well. So yeah, I think that those are the traits that I'm most proud of that help me get the job done at the end of the day.
Thank you. And then next, we'll be hearing from Carter.
All right. So the biggest trait that comes to mind for me, I think, would be my ability to just bring people together. This is something that I developed and became really good at through my leadership position in Boy Scouts, and kind of has translated into my social life as well. I'm not a big fan of settling down, hanging out with one group of people, and just looking at everybody else as outsiders. I kind of see the whole school as a community. I think one thing that I would just push for is to try to get everybody to see it like that, because things are way more fun if we're all together rather than individual groups. So I think my ability to bring people together and be a friend to all is definitely my strongest suits or traits in terms of running for this position.
Thank you. And then next, we'll be having Amelia answer.
I think one of my traits that's helpful in this kind of position is my ability to get work done. When we talk about doing things in meetings, I try to do my part, and I try to participate in meetings and do whatever I can. I'm also good with working with the other officers. It's not like an individual kind of thing. Like we all have to work together, brainstorm together, and do all of that in order to bring our whole class, for it to translate to our entire grade. I also think that I am approachable because I try to talk to as many people that I can, part of like different social groups, and I try to be open-minded too and like unbiased so I can form my own ideas about certain topics from like the whole class.
Thank you. And then finally, we're going to have Veronica.
I'd say my strongest suit is that I'm really organized and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. It could be like the smallest things, like, I don't know, designing the senior bulletin board. I just want everything to look really good. Or it could be bigger things like planning events. I know we couldn't have cotillo, but maybe hopefully for prom, I want everything to run perfectly and smoothly. And also, I'd say along with Amelia, I'd like to think I'm approachable and like get along with everyone and the other class officers. And I've had multiple people come to me with like ideas even like this year, and I just hope I can be a voice for everyone and that they're comfortable talking to me.
We've all worked very hard to try to make ideas and events happen. Unfortunately, some of them have been shut down. But I think definitely thinking outside the box with other ideas rather than sticking to normal things. Definitely, we've discussed a lot of ideas, trying to still make them happen. Definitely like a drive, like movies, night stuff. Definitely just like meeting in the parking lot and like everything. So I think definitely all the class officers, we've all worked really hard to try to come up with ideas. But I think definitely just getting creative and trying to see maybe what other towns are doing, other seniors are doing. Even last year, seniors, they had to deal with this partly. But I think just stepping out of the normal senior ideas and trying to make things. Like we couldn't have our cookout the first week. So I think it's definitely trying to think of ideas that aren't normal, not normal, but aren't like general ideas that we do, and maybe meet outside somewhere or have virtual events. So I think doing everything that we can to think outside of the norm and coming up with ideas.
Thanks, Caitlin. And then next will be Viraj to answer.
Yeah, so I think that unification this year within our class is gonna come with two main things. It's gonna come with innovation and just effort. We have to, as class officers, make an effort to bring people together, because this year with all the restrictions, there's going to be hesitation on the part of parents, there's going to be hesitation on the part of students not wanting to come in on their off week. And then the innovation comes in where we have to take maybe the things that we've been doing in the past, that seniors have been doing in the past, and we have to change it so that it's actually attainable. We've tried to do that thus far a couple of times, and those ideas have been shut down because of the pandemic, but we have to continue to be out of the box thinkers. And I think that one main way of doing that, I really liked Carter's idea, which he mentioned earlier, of still doing a spirit week even if we can't have a spirit rally, and other activities like that, where we just create an environment within the school where everybody feels included. And so even if we're not all together, we still are, if that makes any sense. So that's what I think it's going to come down to.
Thank you. And then next we'll be having Carter.
Very similar to what Viraj said. I think he used the words innovation and effort. I think that's perfect. Like that's exactly what we need. We need creative ideas, not just from class officers, but also from the student body. Obviously, I don't know what would be approved and what wouldn't be approved by administration, but like there's plenty of ideas, right? Like you can have a drive-in, not even necessarily movie night. You could have a drive-in Kahoot game. You could like as winter comes, if the class wants to go on a ski trip, like over to Neshoba, there's stuff you can do outside, like activities, like games that you don't have to be packed in like sardines. I think it just takes a dash of creativity, and we'll be able to come up with a lot of stuff that can bring the class together, even in a year where our split pods kind of make it feel like we're.
Thank you, Carter. And then next we'll be having Amelia.
I agree with everything they said. We've been coming up with we've had a few good ideas, but unfortunately some of them have been shut down or pushed maybe to like spring, when it all depends if like we can do it with all the restrictions. But I also think it getting everyone to be unified together, it takes effort from also the rest of our class. So I think this year we have to do a good job with getting other people involved and getting other people motivated to attend these class events, because we can plan them and then if no one comes, then they're still going to be unsuccessful. So I think we have to um, really push the idea that we want to get the whole grade to be unified, and we want to change their mindsets too and make them want to attend these and have a good last year.
Thanks, Amelia. And then finally, Veronica's turn.
Yeah, going off of what Amelia said about how it's like up to the class if they want, to unify together. I think this year more than anything, like we have a reason to try to bond as a class, and I think people are really willing to do anything that we come up of. It's just the matter of what we come up with. And obviously, like, it's ideal for us to postpone our usual events like the senior barbecue and obviously the spirit rally, but that's STUCO. But I don't know. We don't know until the time comes. But just one thing I'm thinking of that is coming up soon, I think it would be a good idea if when we get our senior t-shirts, we could still do like pictures on the field, obviously like try to be socially distant or in like very, very small groups, because I think the day of when we took our class of 21 picture, but we didn't have our class shirts yet, people are pretty upset because usually it's tradition for the seniors to get together and take pictures on the field. So I hope that when the shirts do come in, they'll still be able to do that. That should just be like something we can do right now.
Thanks, Veronica. And then that would bring us to our final question for our class officers who are running this year. And that is, how do you plan to continue class fundraisers and activities safely during this time? And the first
I think it's my turn. Okay. So I think definitely like next week we've already planned. On Wednesday we have a Chipotle fundraiser. So I think using like ideas of things that are already set up for COVID, definitely like restaurants and stuff, like takeout food you can easily do if you're not comfortable eating inside a restaurant. And I think events, like definitely going outside and the normal senior activities, like making sure that everyone's like able to go. And I think class participation, as everyone said, is going to be a huge part of that, and people are very willing to do things, as it is our last year before most of us will split off and go to college. You won't be with your regular like friends you've had the whole years. So I think definitely like the ideas that the class officers we've all come up with and of trying to implement, like I mentioned before, like I know again it's student council, like spirit week and stuff, and meeting outdoor activities, and like Veronica just had pictures on the field, like definitely awesome ideas of trying to keep, like to maintain what the seniors are used to. And I think again, just like stepping outside the box, like fundraisers at restaurants, you can have small groups like meet in the parking lot, even at WA. If you're just playing music, people can pull up in their cars, sit in the trunks, like maybe have like packaged food or something that people can already get. So I think definitely like bonding with the whole class and trying to get as many people involved as we can, definitely meeting in outdoor events, and hopefully we'll be able to have our prom to where we can do that, and definitely a graduation at the end of everything.
Thanks, Caitlin. And then next, by now you guys probably know who's next, but that's going to be Viraj.
So I think that continuing fundraisers for our grade this year is going to come down to updating our normalcy around the policies that are placed in front of us. So where we can remain the same, do so, if not improve, and where we have to change, we have to change. So, obviously these food fundraisers, restaurants have been set up to be able to continue running, and we have to take advantage of that. We have to know that those are areas where we can make money and where we should be making money, and that's why we already have a Chipotle fundraiser set up next week. And I hope that anybody who watches this goes and mentions class of 2021. But also we have to know that like maybe we can't have a senior barbecue right now, but we can do other things outside, keeping in mind the mandates that are put in place. But we just have to be creative and innovative and adaptable to what's going on around us in order to create fundraisers where we can still make money but follow the guidelines at the same time.
Thanks, Raj. And then next up is Carter.
Separated. So I would say to keep our fundraisers and events safe, like Viraj said, it all just comes down to what the mandates are from us, from both the state and administration. I think a lot of stuff is still within the realm of possibility as long as we're wearing masks and we're following socially distanced procedures. Obviously, there's other stuff that can't happen at this time, but it's just more of the same. Thinking outside of the box, doing what we can, and just hope that as time goes on, we will have, obviously in the winter time, we may not be able to do as many outdoor things, but in this last stretch of fall and maybe hopefully in the spring, we'll be able to pack it with a ton of fun stuff for the grade. And we'll do it safely, with masks, disinfecting, all that kind of stuff. So.
Thank you. And then next up is Amelia.
Yeah, like they said before, we have a lot of restraints on what kind of fundraisers we can do. So right now, everything is pretty much contactless, which is why we're doing a lot of the restaurant fundraisers, which is what they said before. But we're also trying to have clothing and trying to sell that, which I know Hasmin has put work into, and we're kind of in the process of doing that too. And we're hoping that we'll be able to make a good amount of money from that. But yeah, there's nothing else that we can do right now because we really want to try and stay safe. We can only do outdoor events and stuff like that. We can't really do any fundraising indoors like the holiday bazaar, which is what STUCO does. But and we're really relying to do a good job to stay safe so then we can have more fundraisers in the spring and have more opportunities to raise more money. But we really have to try and be creative right now, like we've said before, and come up with even more ideas.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Veronica.
I don't have that much to add. I'm pretty sure everyone touched upon everything, but yeah, going off of Amelia, yeah, we've been working on opening an online store sort of with a mix of maybe masks, shirts, hand sanitizer, all that. And also going off of Carter, the idea of having an outdoor fundraiser, we've never really done that before. I think it's a really good idea. Maybe when the weather gets better in the spring, we could do stuff outside, walkathons, I don't know, community cleanups, try and make some money, or just honestly, even just community service. It's not really all about the money because we have enough money. We already have put down the deposit for prom and stuff. I think right now we're more worrying about how we can bring the class.
This concludes the senior question and answer session for officers, and we will now move on to the STUCO student representatives. Similarly created as the officer category, the order for senior student representatives will be Mia Ciano, Brian Ellis, Robin Bryce, and Ira Rasny.
Because student council has been something that's been very important to me all years of high school and even when I was in middle school. It's something I'm very passionate about and something that I would like to even continue throughout college. I really want to make sure that this year we push having the best senior year that we can, and everyone, every grade, feeling like their opinions are heard about what's going on and everything that's changing this year. One of my big goals is to make sure that student council reps and their class officers are communicating more. I want to make sure that we do have more meetings with them more often and just make sure that the communication's really there. I want to make sure that everyone's opinions are heard throughout the year. And I love student council and who I work with. And last year I was on executive board as the community service coordinator. So that got me a lot closer to a lot of people in student council, and it's just really important to me.
Thanks, Mia. And the next person who'll get a chance to answer is Brian.
Yeah, sorry. All right. Student council agreeing to Mia is just very important to me. Like the past 3 years, it's always been a blast and fun, and I've become really good friends with a lot of my friends through student council. And with that said, I am rerunning because of that. But most importantly, I'm also rerunning because, especially this year, and I just want to make sure that our school has every opportunity to take every step towards having like a normal, fun year with good bonding, school spirit, like anything possible. I want to make sure that we can do just about anything like that. And even if that's working with our class officers for just our grade, we're working with all class officers for the whole school to create spirit weeks, competitions, anything that's gonna make the student population just a little like happier during like the times that we're going through right now. And that's really important to me. And I also just love my student council family. So I'm looking forward to working with them for another year.
Thanks so much, Brian. And then next up, we're going to be having Robin.
Okay, so I'm rerunning for student council because over the past few years, it's just become a huge passion of mine. I think it takes a certain breed of people to, enjoy running around during the spirit rally, hectically trying to find people to do events. But I think I speak for all of us when I say we're all that type of people. That's what we enjoy doing. It's just, I've made so many relationships through it. I've learned so many skills, and it's just become a huge part of my life. For my goal for this year, I am going into this year with the idea that I don't want to let COVID define our senior year. It's obviously had a huge impact on all of us, and there are certain things that, we're going to be restricted on, but my goal is to do as many of the things, if not everything, that we've done in the past, even if we have to change a few things. I just don't want anything to be defined by COVID this year.
Thank you very much, Robin. And then next we're going to be having Ira.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to say thank you to you and the Ghostwriter real quick for doing this. It really helps increase student body communication, so that's really important. Thank you so much. But then just for kind of my main goals and everything, I definitely think that this year more than ever, people are gonna feel isolated, and they're gonna feel especially if they're remote students, they're gonna feel they're probably lonely. So I guess one of my goals is to bring everyone together as a school, and what can we do to make it just seem like a really supportive year. And something else that I want to focus on this year is the equity and inclusion piece to student council. I want to make sure that people that we as a grade, as school, and a town can find common ground while preserving our Westford history, which is really important to us. So yeah, and I've been able to do that in the past 3 years by being involved in other student organizations that do so. So I'm really excited for this year, and I'm sure all of us are too, for all the things that we get to think of new things. So that's also something that's fun to look forward to.
Thanks, Ira.
Like I mentioned earlier, student council is something that I'm very passionate about, which makes me very, overall with anything, I'm very determined, and I'm very committed to student council. It's because it's something that's so important to me. Another quality I have is I like to hear everyone's opinion and work together with people. And this is something that one person can't just do all at once. So I think it's important being able to work with others. And then the last thing is that I'm very optimistic, and I try to stay positive about everything. And I think that's especially important this year because people are getting easily, you get down about what we can't do, and I want to focus more on what we can do and what we can change and improve so we are able to do the things that we used to do.
Thanks, Mia. And then next up we have Brian.
I served as the e-board secretary last year for student council, where I learned so many great skills and qualities for organization, efficiency, and just staying on task for our council, which I'm excited to use those skills for this year for just implementing like better structure and organization to keep us on task, as well as I'm a big fan of having fun at our meetings and our events. I always love just like making people laugh, which I think is a great quality to keep the council engaging and fun and on task as well. I've also had leadership positions outside of student council, whether it be at work or sports, where that I have learned other qualities for leaders. So I'm excited to be a leader to the school and a leader to the council to really create, again, just a good 2021 year.
Thanks, Brian. And then by now, you guys probably know the order, but next up is going to be Robin.
So one of the qualities that I have that makes me good for student council is I'm really organized. Brian, Ira, and Mia will be able to tell you that I have a huge spreadsheet for elections right now with all the information because it's a lot, but we're trying to keep as organized as possible. The other thing that I have is I'm really dedicated to student council. I spend a lot more time thinking about student council than a lot of people would think. I think about it like just all the time, like what else can we do? My Instagram Explore page is filled with other schools' student council Instagrams because I'm always researching other schools' student councils to see what they're doing, see what we can bring to our school. So I'm really dedicated to what I'm doing and just trying to do the best I can.
Thanks, Robin. And then last up for this question will be Ira.
Okay. What I love about our council and specifically our e-board is that I think that everyone brings in like different qualities that like, and we all just work so well together, and we all put on like really good events because we all just have really different and awesome and unique qualities. But I think I bring to the table, I'm definitely like creative. I like to think out of the box. And I think sometimes something that can be challenging is putting on new events. Like sometimes our old events like don't like work or we can't do them anymore. So I guess an example of that would be for years in the past, we've done Teacher Appreciation Week. But last year we were told that like, I mean, it's still a good idea, but the teachers were like, hey, could you spread it out throughout the year? So we had to think of just completely new things that we could do, and like how could we change the things that we had done for years, like how can we like change the traditions that we've built up. So I think all four of us were a really big part of that project last year, and it was something that I really enjoyed, and it was something that I had to think really outside of the box. And I'd say up until March, it was really, really successful. And I know that, well, because of COVID, but then I know that this year it won't be the same stuff, but I know that we have the capabilities to think outside the box again and make it safe and fun and make our teachers feel appreciated again.
Thanks, Ira.
So I think that a lot of things that we've already faced while coming up with ideas for this school year is just that everything needs to be outside, and we won't be able to have big events, at least for now in the fall, like we normally do, like Spirit Rally and the Bazaar and everything. But I think that we are really trying to come up with ideas that we can incorporate a virtual aspect to bring that unity into play and still make sure that we are getting everybody involved and showing their school spirit. So I think that the challenges that we'll have to deal with is just making sure that we include everybody and make sure that we're outside and obviously following all of the COVID restrictions and everything. But I think that if we really push the virtual stuff and doing what we can and being optimistic about it and finding ways that we can work around it, I think we'll be good.
Thank you, Mia. And then that leads us to Brian's response.
Well, it's absolutely devastating that we can't do the Bazaar and the Spirit Rally this year. Those are normally our first two events that are big and they're hard, they're stressful and overwhelming, but we always get through it, and it creates like that magic of student council where like at the end of the day, we're all just like there together, and that's always the best part of student council, in my opinion. But as Mia said earlier, as an e-board or herself, but as an e-board altogether, we're trying to not focus on what we can't do, but focus on what we can do. And if that means virtual events, anything that's going to fall inside the CDC guidelines that we're able to do, or any things, overcoming any barriers to just push through to make this the best year that we can possibly do, that we can possibly have. So I pretty much agree with me on that one. I hope as an e-board that we're all going to work together and really get that done for this year and create other magical memories and feelings for student council. We don't need the bazaar.
Thanks, Brian. And then next up to answer this question will be Robin.
So one of the things that I always try to keep in mind when I'm doing things with STUCO is how to, keep our community together. We have this WA community, but not everyone is a huge part of it. Some people are more involved than others. So, our goal is always to try to bring people into our community. And get people more involved. And that's really hard to do right now because, when you're at home, it's easy to forget that, even if everything's online, you still have that community and you're still a part of it. So that's the barrier, the biggest barrier that I think we have to overcome is reminding people that they still have this community that's there for support, there to back them up. So I think just, making everything virtual, even if it has to, if we can do things outside. Last year in the spring, we did a virtual Spirit Week. That was something, our Fall Spirit Week is usually something that really brings everyone together. So we tried to do that in the spring. So just doing more things like that, making as many changes to our old events to keep them as similar to what we're used to as possible, but still make them happen this year.
Thank you, Robin. And then the final person to answer this question will be Ira.
Okay, so basically what everyone else said, but I'm really confident that our e-board and our council can put together a great year for all of our students because we're always, we're just a really hardworking group. We always think outside the box. So I think that whatever challenges we face with COVID or with admin or like whatever we're allowed to do, I think we're just going to make the most of it. And especially for us, it's our senior year. So we're just going to hope to go out with a bang and hopefully and work with the kids, especially the online people, to make them feel included.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and to learn more about the goals of our senior STUCO officers and representatives. Voting will take place this Wednesday, October 21st. Thank you.